Bonjour mes amis, hi guys. Today we talk high-end handmade watchmaking from the UK. The brand is Garrick from Norfolk and it has received a lot of attention as of late. It's definitely a leading player towards making UK watchmaking great again. The aim is to offer handmade, high-quality, original timepieces at a price as affordable as possible. Maybe you're tired of Swiss trends, every brand copying the next on complications, specs and colors, etc. So this might be for you. In my hand, I have on loan from a very kind and generous anonymous Hong Kong collector the S5, a 39mm watch by 11mm. That meets the demand for smaller watches, particularly in Asia. It features a new in-house movement for the brand. It has an engine turn dial with an applied chapter ring and heat-blued anchor hands. At the heart of the S5 is the Garrick UT G05 caliber, dressed in a textured rhodium finish. Unlike several of its siblings from the brand, the balance on this model is positioned to the rear. It is secured with a 3-spoke bridge. The index adjusted balance has a frequency of 3 Hz and the movement contains 20 joules. The addition of a beat adjuster provides a trained watchmaker with the means to fine-tune the anchor symmetry. Front of house hand guilloche dial made in-house using a traditional rose engine lathe. Clients are given a choice of dial motifs and colors, maritime style, hour, minute and seconds hand express meaning clearly, and would-be owners can select heat-blued or polished steel hands. The steel chapter ring is adorned with satiné circulaire, sauté piqué and laser engraved Roman numerals, which are then filled with ink by hand if you wish so. The model we have here doesn't have it. It's a very time-consuming process actually. The S5 can also be ordered with an open work heat blue chapter ring. And then we have the very popular S4, which is a big success for the brand. It's quite a bit larger here. This one is 42mm by 12 sheer flanks, sort of a slightly flatter Black Bay 41 type of look for this case, and feel on the wrist. But obviously here you keep the same handmade guilloche on the dial, and it runs for cost reason and to make it as affordable as in this version here with the hand guilloche dial as £6,000, about 7,300 US. It runs a heavily modified and embellished Unitas 6498, a great movement which the brand actually regulates, so it adds a bit more on the wait time for the piece. So when you deal with the brand in any way, shape or form, you're basically dealing directly with David Brailsford, who is the CEO of the brand. The visual for the brand here is visually close to the classic watchmaking in the UK from George Daniels, but also elements of Breguet and the Grunewald influence can be found here. Now the brand started in 2013 only, so only 10 years ago. At first it was focused on the dials and using a Swiss movement, and then it moved on to make its own movement by its couple of watchmakers in-house. It's very hard to attract and train watchmakers in the UK and make the company viable. So they work on very little margins, and everything is sold, 95% is sold straight from the website. So you can go on the Garrick website, order your timepiece, and then you have to wait because they can only make 70 pieces per year. The dials in particular take a long time, and as I said, the index markers filled by a watchmaker with a syringe also take a long time. Everything is done in-house, including the the plating and the hand guilloche using the best engine turn rose lathe machine. Hands can be customized. Everything can be customized, which will add, of course, to the delivery time. Calibers will often feature the jewels set in chatons. There is some nice finish, but I see that it varies per caliber, and maybe beveling is not the main feature for these calibers. So you have mainly 2 or 3 watchmakers there. Simon, the partner of David. You have Neil for the difficult calibers, and Stuart will do the dials, if I understand well, and build the S4, which you see here. So it's real people, very small team, engineers / watchmakers, expressing their craft through what you see in your hand, through the result, through these watches. So when everything is done and carefully inspected, really no watches are really the same when there's so much handcraft and so many customizations possible. So it's a very tiresome, and as the CEO points out in an interview, things rarely run smoothly. There's always a little speck of dust, and you have to redo the plating, which takes a long time, a lot of effort. So delivery for the S5, for example, is running into 36 weeks. That's 9 months. Accuracy, what's great, because many independents won't give any accuracy guarantees. For the S4 and the new S6, which has a redone dial, a bit more modern, the accuracy, although it runs a Unitas base, but heavily modified, as I said, is guaranteed up to +5. They try +3, but it adds a lot of testing time to the delivery process. And for the other watches, it says +3, although I'm not sure on the S5 exactly what the guarantee is, but they target yes +3 on the other calibers. So it's a very small unit of highly knowledgeable people. Personally, I really love the anchor team on the hands, and as you can see here in the video, they have just joined and then they will separate again. So it's a great visual. Guilloche spiral at the center is enthralling, and the guilloche around the indices. It's more like the end result looks like almost a snake skin, and everything on this model here is finished with a rose gold. You can choose different finishes, different colors, bright red, bright blue. If you visit the website, for example, of the limited edition, in the UK, they have some watches, and you can find perhaps the bright blue version, which is their signature color. Note also, if you want a bit of a name reference, the famous watchmaker Andreas Streller is a good friend of the CEO, and he has collaborated on the in-house calibers. Now the website is a bit confusing. Each model seems to be the latest. There's not much info on the S5 caliber, and apart from the one that I've given you, read straight from the website, and somehow the CEO barely mentions any detail about it in the few interviews that I've seen, and prefers to focus on their other calibers, the other models, the S1, the S2, the upcoming Mark II of the regulator, which looks very interesting. Note that all these watches are going to be bigger, usually 42 millimeters. So personally, I prefer 39 here. They also have, I think, a deadbeat second coming this year. So they don't make many watches, and they move on pretty quickly to new calibers, which is really interesting. So yeah, I'd like to know a bit more about this caliber here, when I contemplate spending 20 grand US on it. They make, for example, a great fuss of their free sprung balance from the other calibers, but from the pictures I've seen, this one is different. And I can maybe stop it and zoom in a little bit more. from what I've seen, it's also free sprung, but you see 8 different little screws around, acting as little weights to perfect the adjustment of these watches. Really cool looking architecture otherwise, so that's why I would like to know a lot more about the movement. Also on the website, it mentions that this watch has a case of 8 millimeters, which is confusing because the total is 11 millimeters, and it does look and wear quite a bit thicker than, say, my Calatrava 5296. Now, you will note also that the brand is part of the Watchmakers Club, focus on the UK watchmaking. They also have a Garrick lab, which designs and assembles apparently for other brands. It's a bit hush hush. So there you go. If you're tired of being given the runaround by corrupted Patek 80s, this is something to consider. So the S5 here runs you about 20 grand. You have to pay more in the UK because of the VAT, so it's 16,000 pounds. You can order, you have to put a deposit more than 60%, and then you wait a few months to get your watch. Of course, you have to think for yourself what you want. This watch is really impressive. I mean, in my watch box, it makes everything else look dead and flat. It is incredible. This is what people want, and this is why the S4 is so popular. The incredible handmade engine-turned guilloche is just fascinating. It's really wonderful, and the whole design language is very British, and collectors pay for that. So if you want to not pay too much, I think the one here runs you around 6,000 pounds. If you don't mind the larger watch, personally I don't like larger watches. I think 42 is too big for me, but it's not overly big, so it's still very reasonable. You can get a taste of Garrick. This is the entry level, but yeah, in the price range of the S5 here, you can get into a mainstream product, tried and tested and recognizable. The Rolex, for example, a Sky Dweller, or used Daytona, or even a used Calatrava from Patek, and perhaps you will have more peace of mind. So in the end, it's a leap of faith. It's wanting something unique and handmade with maybe some imperfections in its perfection. We live in a macro world, and I was looking through this caliber with a loop, did notice, and you can see it straight away, a little speck of imperfection there in the rhodium finish. Also looking through the gears, I think on this one, I noticed a bit of imperfection there in the little tooth there, and maybe some of the screws might have a little blemish here and there, but yeah, there you go. These are my impressions, the things I think about when I'm thinking about spending quite a large sum of money, which it's actually not a lot of money for what you get, I think, comparing to other brands. Keep in mind that those independent watchmakers have just seen a boom in the past 2-3 years, but of course the market now is changing rapidly. So maybe some people will cancel their orders, but for some of them. But there you go. Let me know in the comments what you think about those beautiful Garrick watches. To me, as soon as I saw this one, I just fell in love. And thanks again to the very friendly collector here in Hong Kong, who's sharing these watches with me, with you guys. And yeah, maybe you will see what happens at Watches and Wonder next week, and decide for yourself where your money should go if you want something completely unique that you're not going to see anyone else wearing, except maybe, of course, at the watch guys meet, but you're surely not going to see anyone in the street wearing a Garrick. Thank you for watching, guys. Bye-bye.